General Marcus Hayes had commanded thousands of soldiers across 3 continents. He'd stared down enemy fire without flinching. But when the hospital's top cardiac surgeon walked into his room, this decorated 4-star general went completely silent. Because standing before him, in surgical scrubs and a white coat, was the last person he ever expected to see. Someone he thought he'd lost forever. This is a story about pride, regret, and the second chances we never see coming. The pain had started during a routine inspection at Fort Bragg, a tightness in his chest that General Hayes dismissed as indigestion. But when he collapsed during a briefing, his officers rushed him to Duke University Hospital. The diagnosis was severe, a critical blockage in his left anterior descending artery. He needed surgery immediately. "I want the best," he told the charge nurse, his voice still carrying that commanding tone even from a hospital bed. "I don't care who it is. Get me your top cardiac surgeon." The nurse nodded. "Dr. Chen is the best we have, sir. One of the finest heart surgeons on the East Coast. I'll have her come speak with you about the procedure." Hayes adjusted his hospital gown and straightened his posture as much as the 4 lines would allow. Appearances mattered, even now. He built his entire career on being in control, on never showing weakness. The door opened, and he prepared to meet this Dr. Chen with his usual authority. But the moment she walked in, General Marcus Hayes felt something he hadn't experienced in 30 years. His heart, already damaged, seemed to stop completely. "Hello, Dad." Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the doorway, medical chart in hand, her dark hair pulled back in a professional bun. She had her mother's eyes, but her father's determined jawline. The last time Marcus had seen her, she was 22 years old, standing in this very hospital's lobby, tears streaming down her face. "You're making the biggest mistake of your life," he'd shouted at her that day. "Throwing away your future for him. You marry that man. You're no daughter of mine." That man was David Chen, a kind-hearted medical student whose only crime was not fitting the image Marcus had constructed for his daughter's life. Marcus had wanted her to marry into a military family to continue the Hayes legacy. Instead, Sarah had chosen love over his approval. And Marcus, stubborn and proud, had chosen his ego over his daughter. She'd sent letters, cards on his birthday, photos of her graduation from medical school. He'd returned them all unopened. His ex-wife had begged him to reconcile, but Marcus Hayes didn't back down. Not ever. That's what made him a great general. That's also what made him a terrible father. Now, 12 years later, here she was. Not just any doctor, but the surgeon holding his life in her hands. "I'll give you a moment to request a different surgeon," Sarah said, her voice professional but strained. "I understand if you prefer someone else." Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time in his decorated career, he had no idea what to say. His daughter, the child he'd disowned, was now Dr. Sarah Chen, the best cardiac surgeon in the region. The irony wasn't lost on him. "How long do I have?" He finally managed. "Without the surgery. Hours, maybe a day," Sarah replied, her medical training overriding any emotion. "The blockage is severe. You need intervention now." He looked at her, really looked at her. She'd grown into a confident, accomplished woman. Everything he'd ever wanted for her, she'd become just not the way he planned it. "Your mother," he said quietly. "She told me you became a doctor." I didn't believe her. "She tells me you read the letters," Sarah replied, "even though you sent them back." Marcus felt heat rise to his face. It was true. He'd steamed open every envelope, read every word in the privacy of his study, then resealed them and returned them to sender. Pride was a powerful thing. "I need to examine you now," Sarah said, moving toward his bedside for the surgical assessment. As she placed her stethoscope against his chest, Marcus noticed her hands trembling slightly. This confident surgeon, this stranger who was once his little girl, was nervous. Not because of the complex surgery ahead, but because of him. "I'm sorry," he whispered, the words barely audible. Sarah's hand stilled. She looked up at him, and for the first time since entering the room, her professional mask cracked. "I have a daughter now," she said softly. "Lily. She's 7. Your granddaughter. And Dad, I cannot imagine any circumstance, any choice she could make that will cause me to shut her out of my life. I've tried to understand your decision for 12 years. I've tried to find a way it makes sense. And I just can't." Tears welled in Marcus's eyes, something his soldiers had never seen. "I was wrong. I was so wrong, Sarah." "Yes," she said simply. "You were. But right now, I need you to be strong. Because I'm going to save your life, and then we're going to have a very long conversation about what comes next." The surgery took 6 hours. Sarah's steady hands repaired the damage to her father's heart, the physical damage at least. When Marcus woke up in recovery, the first thing he saw was a photograph taped to the wall across from his bed. A 7-year-old girl with pigtails, holding a sign that read, "Get well soon, Grandpa." Sarah walked in moments later. "Lily made that this morning," she said. "I told her about you. Not everything, but enough. She wants to meet you." "I'd like that," Marcus said, his voice hoarse from the breathing tube. "More than anything." "It won't be easy," Sarah warned. 12 years is a long time. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. "I know," Marcus replied. "But I'm not that man anymore. The one who thought being right was more important than being loving. The one who thought control mattered more than connection. Surgery has a way of changing your perspective." Sarah smiled slightly. "Actually, Dad, I think it was having your daughter holding a scalpel over your heart that changed your perspective." For the first time in over a decade, Marcus Hayes laughed with his daughter. Here's what this story teaches us. Pride is the most expensive thing we'll ever pay for, and it costs us the people we love most. Being right doesn't keep you warm at night. Being stubborn doesn't fill the empty chair at holidays. And sometimes, the very people we push away become exactly who we need them to be, not despite our rejection, but perhaps because of it. Second chances are rare gifts. When life offers you one, take it, because the alternative is dying surrounded by medals and accomplishments, but alone in the ways that actually matter. If this story touched your heart, give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Have you ever had to choose between pride and love? Share your story in the comments below. And subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more powerful narratives that remind us what it means to be human. See you in the next story.